everyone, happy May. Today is Friday, May 8th. I'm Kathleen. This is Kathleen's Trodden Trail. Welcome. It has been a crazy week. I am one day late in filming. I don't understand where the time goes when we're on quarantine. And I think I said this last week. The time is just slipping away. The days are going by so fast. April flew by in the blink of an eye. I was starting to say it's the very 1st of May and it's May 8th. I really don't get where the time goes. But anyway, nonetheless, it's May the 8th. I'm here for an update and a giveaway and a little bit of a life update and a couple finishes, and so let's just get to it, shall we? I'm going to start with a life update, and one of the reasons that I think I'm running a little bit behind. We had, and everything is fine, but we had a little interesting, slightly scary at the moment thing happen last. It must have been last Thursday night, so not last night, but a week ago, Thursday. So the night before, I have to, full disclosure, give you the whole story because I'm kind of taking some of the blame of this on myself. But the Wednesday night before, I was cooking dinner, and, I guess now, as of this week, restaurants have opened up, but they're at 50% capacity, and so we haven't gone out. Restaurants in Omaha tend to get really, really crowded just in normal times, and I'm thinking, on a Friday or Saturday night, if you try to go out to a restaurant, it's typically an hour wait is pretty normal. And so I'm just thinking that at this point, and with people not being able to go out for the last month plus, I'm sure the restaurants are very, very crowded. So we haven't tried to go out, but it's probably the thing I'm missing the most besides seeing friends, is just that ability to go out to eat once a week. And we have been getting takeout, once or twice a week, but it's just not the same. You have to bring it home and put it on plates, and so the kitchen still gets dirty and the kitchen still needs to be cleaned up, and the food is never hot, and it's fine, I'm over that part of it. I would rather just cook at home and have it be my food and homemade and maybe a little bit healthier. But anyway, so I was cooking dinner last Wednesday night, and I was kind of hating life and just wasn't in the mood. And I have two teenagers, early 20s now, 20 and 21, home, and they can eat, and all of us can eat. And so they're hungry, and they're hungry quite a bit, and they work out and they exercise a lot, and so they're hungry. And so I was kind of grumbling in the kitchen, all by myself and everyone else, and all I wanted to do was stitch, and everyone else was doing their whatever. And I thought the constant refrain around here is, what's for dinner? When's dinner? What's for dinner? When's dinner? Mom, what's for dinner? And so I told myself, grumble in my head, the next person that says what time is dinner or what's for dinner is cooking tomorrow night, because I'm kind of over this. And so 2 seconds later, Madeline walked into the kitchen and said, what time is dinner? And I turned around and said, you're cooking tomorrow night. And so she said, fine, that's fine. I'll cook tomorrow night, and I'm going to make chicken pad thai. So Thursday came, and we got all the ingredients and for her chicken pad thai, and Brian and I were sitting out on the deck. She was out there with us, and then it was time for her to go in and cook, and she was kind of not in the mood at that point to cook, and a little grumbly about having to cook, but whatever. And so I had a glass of wine and was sitting out there, and we sent her in the house to start dinner, and I was thinking to myself I should go in and help her, and I thought, I will here in a minute. It was just a beautiful day, and I happened to look, in the way that our deck is right off the kitchen and big windows, and so I could see in the kitchen, and she was at the island in the kitchen, and she turned around, and I knew immediately something bad had happened just from the look on her face. And she immediately beelined it to the patio door and opened it up. And she said, and she was holding her hand like this, and she said, I've cut my finger really badly. And so I said, okay. And she was just white, color of the sweater, just white. And so I sat her down on one of the deck chairs, and I said, all right, let me see it. And she opened it up, and I took a look and said, yeah, we need to go to the ER. So I did not see bone at that point, but I did see enough to know that it was not something that was going to heal. And so the long and short of it is that she was had taken out a fairly new Pampered Chef knife, and it's a funny knife. I used to sell Pampered Chef years ago when the kids were little, and I love their products and still buy. And I have a Pampered Chef lady here in Omaha, and I still buy. And I just actually had a catalog party not too long ago, but I actually think I bought this at my girlfriend's catalog party before, and in the fall sometime. And it's a weird knife. It's blue, and actually the blade and the handle are blue. And then it has a cover. It's extremely sharp. And it has a cover, and the cover's blue as well. And apparently Maddie pulled it out of the drawer, and someone had put it away without the cover on, and she thought the cover was on it, and so she went to take the cover off and sliced kind of right here like that. So she went in and then down, and so there was just like a flap, a very thick, large flap of skin. So we immediately got paper towels, put it around it, and it started bleeding, and I was having her hold her hand up in the air, and got in the car, told Ryan to put the food away. He was going to stay home, and Brian and Maddie and I got in the car, and the hospital, there's a very nice women's hospital that has a full emergency room attached to it, maybe 10 minutes from our house. And so thought, okay, well, about halfway there, I thought, I think you're supposed to call before you go to the emergency room now, just with everything that's going on. And so I called, and I said, hey, we're about 5 minutes out, bringing my daughter in. She sliced her finger. And do we need to call ahead or whatever? And she said, no, just come in. And she said, but I'm going to transfer you down to the emergency room because how old is your daughter? I said, she's 20. She said, you can't come in with her. So she transferred me down to the emergency room. I retold the story, and she said, no, you can come in with her, but we'll screen you first. And so we got, Maddie's making faces at me in the door because I'm talking about her. And so we got her, Brian dropped Maddie and I off at the front door, and we had our masks, and we went in, and they immediately said, yeah, they said, well, they asked her, you're not over 18, are you? And she said, yeah, I'm 20. And they said, yeah, Mom can't come with her. So they let us get her checked in, and with all the insurance information and all of that. And then we were kind of standing there waiting for them to come bring her back, take her back into the ER. And a security guard came and told us that we had to step outside of the hospital and wait outside. We could not be in the hospital. There was another man there wanting to get an update on his wife, and they kept saying, sir, you have to be outside. You cannot be in the hospital. And so weird times, strange times that we're living in. But, yeah. So anyway, she had 5 stitches, and we went this morning, and she had them taken out, and she's doing just fine. It was a clean knife. She hadn't cut anything yet with it. And so they told her the risk of infection was very small, and so yeah, it was quite the thing. And then today she had him taken out at our regular doctor's office, and I couldn't go in with her for that either. Couldn't even go in the door of the building where the doctor's office is held. But and it's fine. And she's 20, and she's studying to be a nurse, so none of this, she was freaked out when she cut her hand, but she wasn't freaked out by the stitches. She wasn't freaked out by the numbing shot. She was very fascinated with the whole process, and she really thought none of it hurt very badly at all. I think she took Tylenol. I was texting her. That is the great thing about technology today, is that the whole time she was in there, we were texting. And so we knew what was going on. But um, I kept saying, if it's hurting, ask them for something to kill the pain, because of course we left the house and I didn't give her anything, and she was like, yeah, it's fine. It really doesn't hurt that bad. And so then, other than the numbing shot, she took Tylenol when we got home, and I think she took maybe one on Saturday, and that was about it. So she's pretty tough, but yeah. So that was fun. And then I felt like the worst mom of all time because I made her cook dinner. But anyway, she's moving into a house this summer, and so she's going to be up at school, and so she's going to be cooking and living on her own. And so other than that, things are opening up in Omaha. We're not ready to go out to dinner. Maybe on Mother's Day we might go if there's a place we can make reservations, but still planning to kind of stay at home for the most part and just sort of see how things go. We did go to the at-home store today very briefly after Maddie got her stitches out to get some throw pillows for her bed that will be in her new house. But I'm not planning to go places. I'm not planning to be out and about, and we'll just see how things go as things start to open up, and when we do have to go someplace, we're going to wear our masks, and we'll kind of go from there. Our weather has been really strange. I mean, not strange, but just typical kind of spring, where it can be when, we could have snow. I see they're getting snow on the East Coast. We could have, I can remember walking on May 1st, I think it was 2 years ago, with my friend Gail, and it was 100 degrees on May 1st. I mean, it was just a weird, one day. It wasn't like it was 100 degrees for a week, but it's cold. It's a high today of 50. It got down to 26 last night. We're supposed to have, the feel like temperature was 26. It was like 39 or 40 was the actual temperature. Tonight, though, it's supposed to get below freezing, so I'll have to cover the few plants that we have. I was going to plant the garden this week, but with the impending frost, I did not. So Sunday night into Monday is supposed to be the last frost, and then hopefully next week we can get the garden planted. So I'm excited about that. Okay, let's talk about giveaways. Anyway, so it's cold, so I have a sweater on, and it's kind of that cool, like not freezing cold. The sun's out. It's a gorgeous day. Everything is green. We've had just a little bit of rain every single day, and it's been really, really nice. The only downside to it is allergies, and I've had a sore throat the last couple of days, and kind of some sinus headaches, and it makes you kind of think, should I take my temperature? But no temperature, and it's allergies. But anyway, okay, let's talk about giveaways. So first of all, let me say, I think that 2 weeks ago I put Noel Sampler by Brenda Gervais out, and Roxy Voorhees won this, and I announced it, and then it took Roxy just a little bit to get a hold of me, and so we finally talked, I think, 2 days ago, and I told her I would get it in the mail to her, and Roxy, I didn't. Yesterday was a mess, so I will get it in the mail before Monday, and you'll have it sometime next week, and I apologize for that, so I wanted to mention that. Then we had, for this week, Little House Needleworks Farm Life. That looks like this. And I had, I believe 28 comments. More comments than that, but 28 people that were interested in Farm Life. And I did random number generator. And Maine Moose Mom Stitcher was the winner. So I will put my email address here, and if you would email me your mailing address, I will get this in the mail to you, and I'll get it in the mail to you when I get Roxy's to her, and then you'll have them hopefully early next week. And I have some other things to mail, so I promise I will get those in the mail today. I apologize for being so delayed. Next week's giveaway, or this week's giveaway, is courtesy of my friend Colleen, who came upon a duplicate that she had in her stash, and we bought these at the same time. Apparently she already owned it when I forced her to buy another copy, not realizing it. And I've shown this before, and I've started it, and this is a gorgeous piece, and I would love to get this finished. But it's another Little House Needleworks. It's the Inn at Fox River Mill. And Julie has this stitched up in her shop, and a couple things about it. The water looks really cool stitched. The picture is not, and I'm sorry about the glare. The picture's not the greatest, but although that's not a bad picture. But she has this stitched up in her shop, and that's what encouraged Colleen and I were there stitching on our Fox Run or our Hawk Run Hollow pieces one day, and we happened to notice this piece, the model. Julie left off the fence because she thought it looked a little funky down there. It looks like it's under the water, so it looked kind of, I think the river is supposed to be in between the fence and the house, but so I don't know if I'm going to leave the fence off or not. I might leave the fence off of my mind. But anyway, if you are interested in this, I will get this in the mail to you. And I didn't think of a really good question. I love anything that has a water. I cannot think of what that's called. A mill, a water wheel. It's not a water wheel. I don't know. Anything that has one of these on it. I love that. I love a good fox, of course. So what would a good question be? Oh my goodness. Let's just, let's just say I live off of a lake. I live in between a river and a lake. A lake is across the street from me. River is right behind our property. So let's just say, do you live by water, or would you like to live by? Do you live by water and do you enjoy that, or would you like to live by water? I do love the water. However, after the flood last year, I'm not sure I want to live this close to the North Elkhorn River or the Missouri River anytime soon. So I think our next house may be further, either on a hill or further away from the water. The lake is nice to have, and it's been beautiful, crystal clear the last few days. But yeah, so just something about living on water. Do you have a pool? Do you live close to a lake? Do you live on the ocean? Oh, that would be my ultimate dream. But then you have all the issues with hurricanes and, I don't know, it's all kind of scary. Okay, I talked last week about this wool applique piece that I designed for my friend Gail, and I actually finished it yesterday. And I wanted to show it to you because I think it turned out kind of pretty. I'm going to back up. It's not a real big piece. So what I did was I stitched, as you can see, I stitched the words separately, and then on a piece of cotton, and then added that on top just with a running stitch, and then did the wool applique, and then I quilted the whole thing. I put another piece of wool behind this teal blue. It was the other half. This came off of a fat quarter, and it was the other half of the fat quarter. And then I quilted it using a seed stitch, which I'd never done that before. And so it's just this random, as you can kind of see, it's just this random stitch going any which direction. In rug hooking, if you hook like that, kind of randomly any which direction, it's called higgly-piggly. But I don't know, this is just called a seed stitch. And I saw it in a magazine not too long ago, and I've seen it before. And I decided that worked with this. And then I backed it. I cut a piece of white, off-white, and I backed it, and I cut it with the scallops. Just drew the scallops on a piece of freezer paper, and then ironed that to my white wool, and then cut it out. And then I used a blanket stitch to add the stitched piece to the background. And then I put a variety of white and off-white buttons all around, and then added 4 tealy buttons from just another button company, one to each side. And so I think it's kind of pretty. I think it turned out nicely. I decided not to put a hanger on it. I thought about, this is the back, and so on the back all you see is just the little running stitch that you have from the blanket stitch. Everything else is underneath. But I thought about, lost my train of thought there. I thought about putting a hanger on it, and just decided that she may not have a place to hang it, and so she may just want it, you know, to set on a table or an end table or something like that. But anyway, I see a piece of fuzz on the bird there. Anyway, that is my, I don't know what I would call that. He shall cover you, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, that's it. So that was one finish for the week. I finished that yesterday. 2 days ago, I think it was, I finished this. Oh, and I bet I didn't bring the book up. Do I have it up here? Hold on a second. Let me see if I have the book. I can't, because I can't think of. It's from the book. I don't have it up here. I'm so sorry. It's a piece from the book Sweet Land of Liberty by Blackbird Designs, and I think it has 10 or 12 different charts in it. One's cuter than the next. In that book, there's not one I don't want to do. And so I stitched it. It has almost none of the called for, but I tried to be close. I just didn't have the called for. This is stitched in, I believe it's Manor Red, for the strawberries, the house, and the flag. The only thing I kind of wish, and it's actually showing up better here than I think it does in person, this was kind of a brownish stem. I don't remember what the color called for was, and I wanted to turn it into a green stem, but I wanted it to be kind of washed out. It's too washed out in person. It's really hard to see that stem. And then this ends up looking like fireworks instead of like a flower, but it's okay. And then I just put it on a piece of mat board, mounted it, and I laced it. And then I put a piece of brushed cotton on another piece of mat board and laced that as well, and then backed that with just a piece of wool. This is another one of those antique bed springs, and so I put just a stick in here, stuck it down in there, and then I wrapped this all kind of through the springs. Then I wrapped that with blue ribbon, this kind of really lightweight blue ribbon. And then I tied a bow, and I didn't like the way the bow looked, so I clipped it, and I like that better because it's just more, you know, a little bit more primitive. And then put an antique button on it and added this stuff. Oh, and this is some lace from, I almost want to say this is from Lindy Stitches, but I'm not 100% sure. It may be, I feel like that's a piece of Lindy lace. So, yeah, I love it. I love this. I think it turned out so cool and old looking. And I had, if you remember, I had one of the Priscilla and Chelsea cups, stitched cups with the ducks in it. I had that also mounted on this sort of thing, and I have a little shelf in front of my sink in the kitchen, and so I took Easter decorations down maybe like Monday or Tuesday of last week, and so where that was sitting, this goes, because now I have all of my sort of summer / Memorial Day / 4th of July decorations up. So this is sitting there, and so I can look at it when I'm washing dishes, which I really, really like. I had 2 other finishes, but I can't show them to you because they're gifts. So I'll take a picture of them before I get those in the mail. See something else I have to mail this week. And then I'll show them to you probably not until June because they're birthday presents. Okay, I have a little bit of haul this week. I want to say I'm embarrassed to say, but we all knew that was going to happen, so I'm not all that embarrassed. The first piece was a gift from my friend Colleen, and I am seriously thinking about starting this afternoon. I don't even know if I have any of the thread for it, but I really don't have a lot of it, but I feel like I could get close enough. Anyway, it's Abby Rose Designs Yuletide on Thistle Hill. I have never seen this, or if I have, I missed it. But I think this is so cool. And I think this was another duplicate that she had come upon, and she asked me if I wanted it, and I was like, yeah, that's gorgeous. That's so pretty. And the thistles down, the border thistles, that's cool. So I don't have anything picked out for that. And then I saw my sweet friend Marlene stitching by the lake, working on loose feathers, summer, autumn, winter, talking about loose feathers, summer, autumn, winter, like a long time ago, not even recently. And I decided that what I've been doing is holding off. If I see something I love, I hold off and I give it at least 24 hours. And I probably gave this like a month, and just kind of kept thinking about it. And who did I order this from? Jen's Stitching Niche, I believe. So winter, autumn. I love that one. I love that color of that bird. And summer. I would like to work on summer. More and more I'm deciding that these are my colors. I have the, as I was putting sort of summer things up, I have this Priscilla Truckin' Along that I'm working on for June, and I absolutely love it. But most of my colorway for summer is closer to that, sort of a more muted, washed out. Yeah. And I'm not a purist. I mean, I have a lot of different, weird, funky things in my house, and I don't care. If it brings me joy, does it match? I don't care. I have a ton of antique furniture. Most of my furniture is antiques. And it doesn't necessarily, all my pieces don't have to match perfectly. And one of my favorite things to do when I'm decorating is I have everything's covered, with some kind of a quilt or a topper. A lot of wool, but just a lot of just cotton quilts, different quilts, some antique quilts that I have gotten through the years, and then a lot that I've made. But that's one of my most favorite things to do, is figure out which toppers are going to go on things. And so if wood is scuffed up or old, or it used to be when I would get an antique, I would try to fix the wood and fix it up and make it look really nice and shiny, and then I'd cover it anyway. And so yeah, I just kind of whatever. I ordered a new frame. Nicole's gonna die when she hears this. Stephanie at Lindy Stitches has the PVC frame for sale, and I don't know if she still has them, but I noticed that they were back in her shop, and I've been really interested in those. They're lightweight, they're inexpensive, they're easy to assemble, and disassemble. And I thought I want to give it a shot, and so I did. And I didn't bring that up, but and I put Spooky on it because Spooky's quite large. And I'm really enjoying using that frame, and it has to be a bigger piece, or I'd have to attach, like cotton to my linen for a smaller piece to use that frame. But it's kind of nice. So anyway, when I was ordering the frame, I was just kind of going through, and I'm very, very short on reds, which I feel like I'm going to need a couple of that steamed broccoli, which I love. That's my new favorite green, and then some finishing materials, and just a bag of goodies that I haven't even bothered to open up yet, but some fun things from Stephanie. And then, and I didn't bring that up either. I kind of have things scattered around the house. I've been watching Julie at Reflections Framing and Stitching has been doing a daily chart video, like one chart a day that she features, and then shows different colorways and different, flosses to use and different fabrics to use. And potentials and possibilities. And I've been watching them, and I had kind of gotten behind, and I was getting caught up one day this week. I think it was Tuesday. And she showed the one that she was doing for the day was a Twin Peaks primitive farmhouse. No, barn. I think it's Faith, Hope, and Love at the bottom. But the thing that it's a cute barn, but the thing that got me about it is there's an antique carriage in front of the barn, and kind of an Amish carriage, and it was so cool. So I've had problems with her website, and I think it's just my computer, but I just called her up, and I'm like, and she had showed she had kind of done some conversion of colors and added some over-dyed flosses, and I tend to love everything that Julie, we have. I like her color choices most of the time. And so I called her up and I said, do you still have that? And she said, yeah. And I said, do you still have all those flosses? And she said, yeah. And I said, put them in a bag. I want them. And then, by the way, like she's on number 22 or something like that of her daily charts. And back in number 5, she featured 4 charts by this kind of new designer. I don't know if it's new, she's new, but new to Julie's shop. Serenita di Campagna. And this was a series of birds, winter, spring, summer, fall. And you know how I go for crazy things. And so I said, do you still have the series of birds? And she said, yes. And I said, okay, I would like all 4 charts, and can you kit up summer for me? And so I have a feeling, I think these are really pretty in the pictures, but I have this feeling, this inclination that once these are stitched up, they're going to be stunning. And I would like to have these on my wall in my front room, framed together, and leave them up all year round. So if you watch Julie, you've seen these, but I'll show them to you really, really quickly. And I'm not going to try to say the Italian, although I wish I could speak Italian. So this is winter, a little bit of holly. This is spring. This is probably my favorite. And as much as I love birds, I don't know what that is. But I love that little bird. Look at that. Look at the speckles. Oh, that's going to be a fun one to stitch. And then this is autumn. This one's really cool too. That has to be some kind of a pheasant, doesn't it? Or I feel like I know what those are called, but I don't know. And each chart has the main picture and then the words, and they're stitched on 2 different fabrics, which I'm not going to do it that way. I'll do it all in the same. And then an extra little pillow and an extra little pillow. So they all come with 3. And then this is summer, which I had her kit up for me. Oh, look at how cute that is. I love that. And the bees. Oh. And here are the colors. Look at those lilacs. And so pretty. What else would like to start that today? And then, and then Lindy sent me a Peter's Day Out chart. That's the picture. I would like to stitch that. That's cute. And then my husband, who never asks for anything stitching related ever, asked me, and I think it's because he's missing baseball, asked me for this. So this is Little House Needleworks, Take Me Out to the Ball Game. I think Pam of Just Keep Stitching is working on this, and I really do love that too. And so I ordered that when he asked for it at 123, and it finally came. It took a long time for that to come. So yeah, so some fun little pieces of haul, and yeah. Okay, now stitching. I'm trying to keep things a little bit organized here. Stitching wise, what have I been working on? Remember last week I said that I was working on something for Nicole. Did I say her name? I don't know. Her birthday's at the end of May. I'm sure if I said I was working on something for a friend, she knew it was her. And and so I'm going to show it to you because I totally changed directions and made her something else. But I was going to show you what, because I kind of have some progress on it. This is I don't know how to say this, Kiori, Ibata Kiori. And it's Needlework Village. And I got this a long, long time ago. And it's adorable. It's cute. And my idea was, okay, here's a cat. So my idea was to do I kind of wanted to do something, you know, friendship, friendly, related, whatever. And so my idea was to do these two little girls and convert her to red and blah, blah, blah. And there's the cat and everything. And as I started doing it, I liked it, and I do like it, and I would actually like to finish the whole piece. I liked it, and I was enjoying it, but it wasn't for Nicole. It's too cutesy, I think, for her. And Nicole, if you're watching this and you say that's not too cutesy, then I will do it for you. But I just don't think it's her. The more I stitched, I thought, it's just not her. So anyway, here is, and I was just using my own colors, and I didn't have her favorite reds, and so I was just using a red that I had, and that's a very pinky red. And so that's the bottoms of their skirts. But the other thing about this is so many mistakes. So many mistakes. I changed things up a bunch, and I texted her and said, yeah, I'm making you something for your birthday, and you can never look at the chart because you're going to be like, oh, that's wrong, and that's wrong, and that's wrong. But anyway, I will keep working on that. But I did something else for Nicole, and it turned out, and it was perfect, and yeah. And then, well, we'll do that one last. I made some project bags this week because this is one of them, because I am just out of project bags, and I'm sick and tired of plastic. Ugh, sick and tired of it. So I made some yesterday and had all kinds of issues with my sewing machine, and then because I was trying to hurry, and so today was a lot better. And sorry, I'm so thirsty. I started Bower Birds, which looks like this. This was a market. I think this was a new market release this year by Liz Matthews. And I'm doing this on a piece of, I don't know, I had it in my stash. And I was working on it last night. Well, I just started it because I figured it's May. I can start things and not necessarily finish them. But I just barely started it, and I'm just not sure. I thought the R showed up really well, but then I moved down to work on this funky little whatever down here, and it just wasn't looking great. And I don't know if it's because this is almost a white. This is stitched, this is the called for at least floss, and it's DMC 3024, so it's kind of a white gray floss. So I don't know. I don't know. I like it, but I'm not sure. And so I stopped because I wasn't feeling it. Yesterday, every time I sat down to cross stitch, I ran into trouble. I either made a mistake or I don't know. I couldn't get anything going. I got a little bit further along on just trucking along, or I guess it's trucking along, the Stitching with the Housewives, June. And what did I do? I think I finished a couple more strawberries and then started working on filling in the truck. There are a lot of little, I don't even know how to show you this, a ton of little flowers and leaves and little things like that have to be filled in around there, and it's a little bit fussy because I will carry my threads, but not super far. And so like if you do this flower, then you have to do, and you've got white on your needle, then you have to switch to red or carry your flower. I don't know. It's a little bit, it's those details that are so cool that make it so cool, but that take a little bit of time. And I need to get the truck filled in. I think that will really make a difference. But I do love this. I did start on the checked border for the top piece. And so that, because I had a bunch of red on my needle, and I wanted to finish that off. And I enjoy doing, I've read a couple of people say, oh, I didn't like the checked border, but I kind of enjoy doing that. I like it when you can just stitch along and you don't have to count. I mean, you have to count those checks. So see, this is all stitched. That's not checked fabric, it's all stitched. Yeah. I love how June looks. I went down and looked through my stash of things I could use to mount this on, and I just don't have anything appropriate, so I'm not sure what I'm going to mount it on. Okay, now I have a question. I placed an order with Kitten Stitcher, Teresa, probably shortly after market or before, I can't remember, before market or after market, I don't remember. And she always includes something free, and she included a chart that I love, a beautiful chart. It's called Live Simply, and it's by Hands to Work. And I'm just going to show you, I mean, she included it for free, but I don't think it's necessarily a free chart, and maybe it is, but I'm not sure. The Amazon truck just pulled up, so I can guarantee that the dogs are going to go crazy. I'm just going to show you a little bit of the tip of it. So it's a sampler. It has this viney stuff and these birds. It says Live Simply. It has a house and some flowers. And in the flowers, there are 3 flowers, and the flowers have A, B, C, A in one flower, B, C in the third flower, and kind of a log cabin-y type house. I mean, like it's not solid stitched. And then the alphabet at the bottom, and just sort of a straight line border on the left-hand side. And I have had this piece of fabric in my stash forever. I think it might be Teresa fabric, or it may have come from Misty Purcell. I don't remember who I ordered it from. But that's a very good, away from the light, that's really close. So it kind of reminds me of Adobe, a real pale Adobe, or it's not pink, it's kind of a peachy orange, but it's not a Halloween orange, right? So I thought, well, I want to do this, and it says on here, this little sampler can be stitched using only one color of a thread. And overdyed thread looks especially nice for this piece. And I thought, oh, that would be so fun. I mean, it's not big. It's 90 by 101, so it's, not large or anything like that. And I spent hours, no kidding, hours going through my chart, or through my floss. And I looked at all the whites, and it was so boring. The whites do show up on this. Actually, now that I'm looking at it down, it's deeper. It's a little deeper than you're seeing here. I'll show you what I was going to wait to show you. So I tried tan. Which shows up, but just boring. And I thought I'll get so bored stitching this in all white. And especially since Bower Bird is kind of in white, I looked at blues. No blues worked. No purples worked. And pinks don't work. So then I talked to Julie, and I asked her opinion. And of course, I'm sending her pictures, texting her pictures. We're not face to face, so she can't see the fabric other than the picture that I send her. And so when she sent home my birds charts, she included, 2 or 3 different flosses, and both of us thought that those might work. And one was mulberry. I can't remember what the other 2 were. They don't work. None of them work. The mulberry is probably the best, but it's too pink. It's got a little too much pink in it, and this is just too peach. So the black, so then I had Maddie look at it, and I'm like, if you had to pick, and she's like, oh, the black. And I stitched 3 rows of 5 of each of those different colors down here, and had them all on here. And I didn't like any of it. And so then I had Maddie look at it, and she's like, oh, the black is the best. But I think the black is going to make it look like a Halloween piece. I mean, it's just the black and orange, even though this is a light orange. I just think the piece itself is so summery that so any suggestions? I want to do this so badly, and that's all I wanted to work on last night. And the other problem is it's hard to find overdyes right now. Everybody's out of a lot of them. And so, yeah. So if you have any suggestions. So I spent a lot of time stitching samples of different flosses and not getting anywhere with it. Okay. One last thing to show you that I've worked on. I made a bunch more masks this week. And what else did I do? I have done no knitting. I have not been into my hooked rug that I'm working on, the Santa rug, the Santa flying across the moon. I cannot get interested in that rug to save my life. I don't know what my problem is. It's pretty much all hooked except for background, and it might be that, but usually I enjoy working on background. I don't know if it's because it's a Christmas rug. I've thought about switching it out and putting something else on my frame, but I just haven't felt like it. Did I mention last week that one of the places I realized I hadn't ventured to, online was my needlepoint store? And we have a lovely, lovely needlepoint store here in Omaha called Village Needleworks, and it's a great store. And I buy floss there for cross stitch sometimes, but mostly needlepoint type stuff, and just painted canvases galore. And I don't really need any needlepoint canvases. I have quite a few that are in the works, but again, back to that, supporting our local shops and our small mom and pop shops, and all of that kind of thing. And it occurred to me one day, wow, I have not done anything to support them. So I went online, and I went immediately to the new button, and she has a series that she used to just carry one of, and it's these jars. I should have brought them all up. I only brought the one I'm working on. So it's a series of 4 jars. They're Halloween. I've done the first one. I did it several years ago, and I finished it, and it's one of the cutest things I have for Halloween decorations. And so I bought the other 3 and all the floss to go along with them. And Mindy had this in her mouth for a short time. But they're these jars, so they're like apothecary jars, and they all say, weird. This one says frog's breath, obviously, and they all say something different on them. And then you finish them as a jar, as an actual. You fill it, stitch them in. Mine looks okay. I finished the first one myself, and it looks okay. I'm really tempted to get these 3 professionally finished, though, because the finisher that they use at Village really does a beautiful job. So this is all stitched. I don't know if you can tell, but it's really hard to see. You can tell for sure up here, right, that's all stitched. The frog is stitched, except for I missed 1 stitch of the dark green right here. So that needs to be filled in. I thought about putting beads for his little spots, and I still may add beads, I don't know, but and then everything else is stitched, and all I have left is the background of the black. So it goes really fast. I got these last week, and have barely worked on it, but I've been working on it in the evenings because it's very easy to see, and I don't have to wear cheaters, and but they're really fun. And so yeah, so I should have that finished in the next week, and then the other 2 are really, really cute too. And these are all done in DMC. There are other threads that they can be done in. The only thing that's different is the frog is a petite sparkle raise. and it's a shimmery, I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of a shimmery, yeah. Isn't that cute? But otherwise you use all 6 strands of DMC, and yeah, and it just stitches right up. So that's kind of fun. Okay, so recap on the giveaways. Miss Maine Moose Mom Stitcher, let me know what your mailing address is, and I'll get Farm Life in the mail to you. Let me know about your water preferences, and I'll draw somebody for that. And what am I going to work on? I would really like to start this afternoon. Oh, I know, one thing I was going to tell you. Let me see if I can find the information. So I get a daily, not a daily, but I'm on the email list for someone named, let me find her, this amazing, Trish Burr, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard of her and know of her. I believe she's Australian, but the email comes from Trish Burr Embroidery, and she has a new free project out, and it's a mini stitching journal that you create for yourself, and it's just amazing. And this is all embroidery, stitching, hand embroidery, and it's just gorgeous. And I've done a little bit of it. I have a couple of her books, but I've never really delved into it. And I thought this might be the way to go, is to do this little stitching journal to really learn, because I think this is really like thread painting. You'll see when I show you this picture. And so I thought, well, maybe this would be the way to start, and then kind of venture out, because some of her projects are just gorgeous. But anyway, so her first project, other than the cover for the stitching journal, and again, it's a freebie, a PDF, is this bumblebee. And isn't that amazing? That's stitched. That is DMC. That's all that is, DMC stitched. And so I want to try that. I want to try to do that bumblebee. I have a whole bumblebee, even with my summer and, sort of independence flag stuff up. I have a whole section that's bumblebee, and I just think that's really neat. So I'm probably going to be rubbish at it, and I'm sure mine won't look nearly that good, because I think it takes a lot of practice. But I want to try it because I think it's just beautiful. So anyway, that's it. That's what I plan to work on. This weekend's supposed to be yucky. I don't know what the family has planned for Mother's Day. Maybe go out to dinner, but I don't know. We'll see about that. There was a possibility that I was going to go out to rug cooking today, but with Maddie having a doctor's appointment, and we had some errands to run, and just a lot of things to do, needed to get this filmed, I didn't, and I don't know that I'm ready to go out and be around, it's not a bunch of people, but be inside with other people that aren't in my immediate family. So I don't know, maybe in a few weeks. I would kind of like to self-isolate or self-quarantine or whatever that's called. It's not really quarantine, but social distance, whatever, until we kind of see how opening things up changes things. Or if it doesn't, if it's just gonna, fall off and the curve's gonna flatten and whatever. But our curve isn't flattening. Our curve is increasing, and I won't say in leaps and bounds. It's not that bad, but numbers are, it's a very steep. We still don't have very many cases. I think we might be up to 8,000 or something, but it's increasing more rapidly than it was in April. So anyway, that's everything. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're having a lovely day and getting some stitching in. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll talk soon. Bye, guys.